All right, let's dive into this financial fitness thing. We've got some great stuff to work with this time, especially those excerpts from Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover. Really get you thinking, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Ramsey, he doesn't pull any punches.
No, not at all.
Ha!
We're going to break it all down, help everyone listening get a handle on their money. So, I mean, right off the bat, Ramsey's pretty blunt about debt.
Yeah, he calls it like he sees it.
That's one way to put it.
You know, though, he's helped a ton of people, millions actually, get out of debt and onto solid ground, financially speaking. And it all starts with, I think, recognizing those mental traps we fall into with money.
You mean like those myths we tell ourselves about debt? The stuff we think is true but really isn't?
Exactly.
Like that whole debt consolidation thing seems like a good idea on the surface.
Right.
But Ramsey's like, it's just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It doesn't actually fix the problem.
He's got a point there. A lot of times you end up even deeper in debt. You're just trading one kind of debt for another.
Exactly. And there's that whole car payment thing. Like, it's just a fact of life, you know?
Like you gotta have a car payment.
But Ramsey throws out this example.
And it really made me think. He says most millionaires, they drive used cars.
Well, really?
Yeah. So it's not just about being cheap. There's something deeper there, like a whole different way of looking at wealth.
Interesting. So you think that's what he's getting at?
Absolutely. It's like millionaires, they understand something most people don't. A car, it loses value over time. It's what they call a depreciating asset.
Right.
So they'd rather put their money where it's going to grow.
Smart.
Into investments that appreciate. They're playing the long game, you know?
Focusing on building real wealth, not just looking rich.
Right, exactly.
It's like they see through all that marketing hype, all those ads telling you you need a new car every few years.
Yep. It's like a status symbol or something.
But Ramsey says you don't need that to be happy.
Are successful.
Nope. And that brings us to another myth he tackles.
Oh, which one is this?
The one about needing credit cards to build credit. You know, like it's some kind of rite of passage.
Oh, right.
But Ramsey, he's like, you don't need them at all. You can build a solid financial foundation without relying on credit.
And that's where his baby steps come in.
Yeah, like a step-by-step guide to financial freedom. And one of the first steps is all about building that emergency fund. Remember that story about Kim?
Oh, yeah, the one with the car repair.
Totally caught off guard because she didn't have any savings.
Oof, that's rough.
Really highlights why that emergency fund is so crucial.
Big time. Instead of going into debt to cover that expense, she could have just paid for it out of her savings.
No sweat. It's like having that financial buffer to protect you from those unexpected hits life throws your way.
Totally, like a financial safety net.
Right, exactly. Now, there's another thing Ramsey talks about that I found kind of surprising.
What's that?
The whole prepaying for funerals and college thing.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually against it.
He thinks there are better ways to use your money.
Ways that give you more flexibility and protect you from inflation.
Yeah, like he says, you're locking yourself into a fixed price today. But who knows what the future holds.
Right. It might be better to invest that money, so it has the potential to grow over time.
Yeah, and that ties into his whole philosophy, you know? Being proactive with your money, not just reacting to things as they happen.
I like that. But he doesn't just talk about the strategies. He also gets into those psychological roadblocks.
The mental stuff.
Yeah, the things that trip us up, even when we know what we should be doing.
Right, like our mindset.
What are some of the biggest hurdles he sees?
Well, one of the big ones is denial. People just avoiding their financial reality.
Because it's scary.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
It's like that saying, you know,
yeah.
The first step is admitting you have a problem.
Exactly.
And then there's that whole keeping up with the Joneses thing.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Constantly comparing ourselves to others.
Trying to keep up with their spending.
Like we have to have the same car, the same house, the same fancy gadgets.
But you know, there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and it talks about how a lot of millionaires, they live surprisingly modest lives.
No kidding. So it's not all about appearances.
Nope, they're not trying to impress anyone. They're content with what they have.
Interesting. So Ramsey's saying, we're often spending money we don't have to impress people we don't even like.
Ouch, that's a tough one to swallow.
Yeah.
But it's so true.
And the last obstacle Ramsey talks about is ignorance. Not like in a mean way.
Right.
But just a lack of knowledge about how money works.
Yeah, it's about learning the basics, developing those money management skills.
And Ramsey himself is a great example, right? He went bankrupt before he became this financial guru.
Yeah, he's been there.
It's pretty inspiring, actually.
It shows you can turn things around, no matter where you're starting from.
So his story is really about hope.
Absolutely.
So how do you actually do it? How do you get out of debt and achieve financial freedom?
Well, that's where his famous baby steps come in. It's a 7-step plan to guide you toward financial freedom.
I love how he breaks it down into these manageable steps,
Yeah.
starting with that initial $1,000 emergency fund.
Yeah, that first step.
Why do you think she starts there?
Well, I think it's about momentum. That small win, it builds your confidence, proves you can actually do this.
I see.
It's like a psychological jumpstart.
And it helps you avoid going into debt for those small, unexpected expenses.
Exactly. Those little things that always seem to pop up.
He calls it the starter emergency fund, right?
Yeah, like a foundation.
And then you move on to tackling your debt head on with that debt snowball method.
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
All right, so with the debt snowball, it's kind of cool, actually. You list out all your debts, right? From smallest to largest. Doesn't matter the interest rate. And you just attack that smallest one first.
So it's not about logic, it's about motivation.
Exactly. It's like those small wins that give you that boost to keep going.
I get it.
It's psychological, you know? You
Yeah.
pay off that first debt. You're like, hey, I can do this.
Momentum, right?
Totally. And then that momentum, it carries over to the next debt and the next. It's like a snowball rolling downhill.
Gathering speed as it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And Ramsey, he's all about that intensity.
That gazelle intensity.
Oh, yeah, he loves that phrase.
It's such a great image, though.
It is. It's like you're not messing around.
No time to waste.
You're laser focused on that goal.
You're not strolling, you're sprinting.
Aha. Love it.
Okay, so you've paid off all your debt.
Well, except for the mortgage.
Right, except for the house.
Yeah.
So what's next on the baby steps?
Baby step 3, my friend.
Hit me with it.
Fully funded emergency fund.
Okay, we touched on that earlier.
Yeah, but now we're talking the big leagues.
How much are we talking?
3 to 6 months of living expenses.
Whoa, that's a chunk of change.
It is, but think about it. It's your safety net, your protection against those curveballs life throws at you.
Job loss, medical emergency, unexpected home repairs.
All that stuff, yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to think about that stuff.
No, but it happens. And when it does, you want to be prepared.
Ramsey has a funny way of putting it.
What's that?
He calls it Murphy repellent.
Aha, that's so Ramsey.
Like, if you have a solid emergency fund, Murphy's Law is less likely to come knocking.
I love it.
It's like you're saying, not today, Murphy.
Exactly.
You know, he tells this story
Oh, I love his stories.
about this couple, George and Sally.
Yeah, what happened to them?
Their car broke down, needed some major repairs.
Oof, that's never fun.
But they were cool as cucumbers.
Because they had that emergency fund.
You didn't have to stress, didn't have to go into debt.
Just paid for it and moved on.
It's like having that peace of mind.
Totally, knowing you can handle whatever comes your way.
He contrasts that with Kim's story.
Oh, yeah, Kim, she wasn't so lucky.
No emergency fund, remember?
That car repair really threw her for a loop.
It's a powerful reminder.
That emergency fund, it can turn a crisis into just a minor inconvenience.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got the emergency fund in place. Debt's taken care of, except for the house.
What's next on our journey to financial freedom?
Time to start thinking long term.
Retirement, here we come.
Baby step 4. Investing 15% of your income for retirement.
This is where the magic happens. The power of compound interest.
Oh yeah, time is on your side.
The earlier you start, the better.
It's like planting a tree, right?
Exactly. The best time was 20 years ago. But the second best time is today.
So true.
Even small amounts, invested consistently, they can grow into something significant.
Ramsey gives that example of Joe and Susie Average.
Oh yeah, they start investing in their 20s. Just $625 a month.
And they end up with over $2 million by retirement.
That's the power of compound growth.
That's incredible. So how do you actually invest that money?
Well, Ramsey is a big fan of mutual funds.
Okay, what kind?
Growth stock mutual funds. Specifically,
Why those?
he thinks they offer the best potential for long-term growth,
Makes sense.
especially when you have a longer time horizon.
So you're in it for the long haul.
Exactly.
And he also talks about diversification.
Oh yeah, spreading your investments across different types of funds.
So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. It's about managing risk.
Smart. Okay, so we're building that nest egg. What's next?
Well, if you have kids, it's time to start thinking about their future.
College.
Baby step 5, saving for college.
And Ramsey, he loves those education savings accounts.
The ESAs, yeah.
They're pretty great, huh?
Yeah, they're tax-advantaged savings accounts,
Wow.
specifically for education expenses.
So the money grows tax-deferred.
And you can withdraw it tax-free as long as it's used for qualified education expenses.
Nice. So that's a pretty sweet deal.
It is. And he also mentions 529 plans.
Those are state-sponsored, right?
Yeah, they offer similar tax advantages.
But he has some caveats about those.
He does. He says you want to choose a plan that gives you more control over your investments.
He's not a fan of those life phase plans.
No, the ones that automatically shift to more conservative investments as your kid gets closer to college.
Right. He thinks you're missing out on potential growth.
Ex-
Okay, so we're cruising along.
2 more baby steps to go.
We're in the home stretch.
Baby step 6 is all about the house.
Paying off that mortgage early.
Imagine that feeling,
No more mortgage payments.
owning your home outright.
Freedom.
It frees up so much cash flow, too.
Yeah, for other things.
Investing, giving, traveling, whatever you want.
It's like a huge weight lifted off your shoulders.
Totally.
All right, bring on the final baby step.
This is the fun one.
Baby step 7. Build wealth and give generously.
This is where it all comes together.
It's about more than just money at this point.
It's about living a life of
It's
abundance,
financial abundance, yeah.
but also abundance of spirit.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
about using your wealth to make a positive impact.
Ramsey tells this great story.
Oh, yeah, about the Secret Santa guy.
Michael, yeah, he gave away $25,000 in Secret Santa gifts.
Just spreading joy and generosity.
It shows that true wealth. It's not about how much you have.
It's about what you do with it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've walked through all 7 baby steps,
It's a powerful roadmap.
but there's more to it than just the steps themselves, right?
There are these underlying principles.
That run through Ramsey's whole philosophy.
Yeah, like a foundation.
And one of the big ones is contentment.
That's a tough one in our culture.
Always wanting more, always comparing ourselves.
But Ramsey, he challenges us to find joy in what we have,
To appreciate the simple things.
to break free from that consumerist mindset.
That tells us we need more stuff to be happy.
And you know, when you're content, you actually have more money to pursue your goals.
Because you're not wasting it on things you don't need.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, the best things in life are free.
Or at least they don't have to cost a fortune.
Uh-huh, right. And then there's that gazelle intensity.
Oh yeah, can't forget that.
Attacking your goals with focus and determination.
Like that gazelle running from the cheetah.
It's about urgency. It's about making the most of your time.
But it's not just about working hard.
It's about working smart, too.
Budgeting, tracking your expenses, making your money work for you.
So it's a holistic approach.
It is. It's about taking control of your financial life.
And ultimately taking control of your life, period.
I like that.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have. It's been a great deep dive.
If you had to sum it all up,
What are the biggest takeaways from the Total Money Makeover?
well, I think it comes down to this. Taking control of your finances. It's not just about the numbers.
It's about something bigger.
It's about aligning your spending with your values.
Hmm.
Making conscious choices that lead to a life of freedom.
Freedom from debt.
Freedom to pursue your passions.
Freedom to give generously.
Ramsey's really passionate about that.
He wants people to experience the joy of giving.
And the empowerment that comes with financial freedom. Yeah, it's amazing how many people he's reached.
It's really something.
You know, one thing that stood out to me was his emphasis on using cash. Like really using cash.
He was a big believer in that.
He even calls it like gazelle intense cash. What do you think's behind that?
Well, he argues that when you use cash, you're more aware of what you're spending.
It's tangible, right?
Exactly. You see those bills leaving your wallet.
It's not just numbers on a screen.
Right.
It's harder to overspend when you can actually feel it.
It's like that saying, if you don't feel it, you won't heal it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe that applies to our finances too.
For sure.
And, you know, another thing he talks about that's really important is contentment.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
It's so easy to get caught up in the comparison game.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Always wanting more, never feeling satisfied.
But Ramsey's like, find joy in what you have.
Appreciate the simple things.
Break free from that consumerist mentality.
That tells us we need more stuff to be happy.
And you know what? When you're content, you actually have more money to pursue your goals.
Because you're not wasting it on things you don't need.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, the best things in life are free.
Well, maybe not entirely free.
Mm-hmm. True.
But they don't have to cost a fortune.
Okay, so let's say someone's listening.
They're feeling overwhelmed.
They're drowning in debt.
They don't know where to start.
What would you say to them?
Take a deep breath. You're not alone.
Ramsey's baby steps. They're designed to work for anyone.
No matter how tough things seem,
It's about taking that first step.
even if it feels small.
progress, not perfection.
Find a support system.
Someone to encourage you.
Hold you accountable.
And remember Ramsey's own story. He went bankrupt before he built his empire.
It proves you can turn things around.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Into the Total Money Makeover.
what's one key insight you want listeners to take away?
Taking control of your finances. It's not just about money.
It's about taking control of your life.
Creating a life of freedom.
Freedom from debt,
Freedom to give generously.
freedom to pursue your dreams.
And remember, it's a journey.
There will be bumps along the way.
But with commitment and a plan,
You can achieve financial peace.
and build a future you're proud of.
So think about it. What's your weak spot when it comes to money? What one thing makes you feel good when others notice it? Confronting that weakness, that's the key to lasting change. This is your journey to financial freedom. Are you ready to start climbing?